What if the golden age of Hollywood wasn't pure glitz and elegance, but a polished facade held up by deception? Picture Marilyn Monroe masking deep childhood scars with that iconic breathy laugh, or Rock Hudson staging a sham marriage to hide his true self. These weren't just celebrities, they were carefully crafted illusions, sculpted by studios and buried under secrets wilder than any modern tabloid. Get ready, we're pulling back the velvet curtain. And believe us, it's uglier than the nastiest celebrity breakup. Before the world knew her as Marilyn, she was Norma Jean, just another foster child with a stutter and a dream. She cycled through 11 homes by the time she was 16, learning to charm adults just to avoid being sent back. Her famous breathy voice? Not a sultry act, but the lasting echo of childhood trauma in designer heels. Hollywood sculpted her into the ultimate sex symbol, but deep down, she remained that frightened girl, terrified of abandonment. And more often than not, people did leave. Marilyn racked up broken hearts like awards. 3 failed marriages, entanglements with presidents, and late-night phone calls begging not to be alone. Behind the glitz, she numbed her pain with pills, booze, and borrowed love. At 36, the world's most adored woman was found dead, alone, and aching for connection. Her legacy is a haunting reminder of how fame feeds on pain, then walks away. Charlie Chaplin, comic legend or scandal magnet. Truth is, he was both. Chaplin, the silent film icon with the bowler hat and signature cane, made the world laugh without uttering a word. But behind the charm was a much darker story. In 1924, at 35, he began a relationship with 16-year-old Lita Gray during the gold rush. When she became pregnant, he didn't propose. He fled to Mexico for a quick, quiet wedding. The marriage quickly unraveled. Chaplin reportedly treated Lita poorly, cheating, belittling, and controlling her. Their explosive divorce included a 50-page legal takedown that read more like a tabloid saga than a court filing. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Chaplin had a pattern of pursuing teenage girls, something the studios worked hard to bury. Ironically, the man linked to exploiting young women made movies full of compassion for the oppressed, the forgotten, the voiceless. A master of empathy on screen while hiding unsettling truths behind the camera. Jack Nicholson, Hollywood rebel with a family secret stranger than fiction. Growing up in New Jersey, Jack believed his mother was Ethel, a steady, no-nonsense woman, and that his older sister June was just that, a sibling. He built his life on that story, never suspecting it was a carefully crafted illusion. Then, at 37, during a magazine interview, the truth came out. June wasn't his sister, she was actually his biological mother. Ethel, the woman he'd always called Mom, was really his grandmother. June had become pregnant as a teenager, and in the conservative culture of the time, the family buried the truth to protect her and Jack from public shame. By the time he learned the reality, both women had passed away, leaving no chance for closure. Jack's response? Calm, introspective, and entirely composed. While most would have spiraled, Nicholson handled the twist with grace. Just another layer to a man already known for playing complicated characters with cool detachment and depth. Clark Gable, Hollywood royalty with a secret he took to the grave. In 1935, during filming of The Call of the Wild, Clark Gable had a behind-the-scenes affair with co-star Loretta Young. When she became pregnant, the studio system went into damage control. Loretta disappeared from the public eye, gave birth in secrecy, and placed the child in an orphanage. Later, she adopted the girl, her own biological daughter, Judy Lewis. Judy grew up unaware of the truth, though she always questioned why she resembled Gable. The resemblance was so strong, her ears were surgically altered to downplay the likeness. Back then, an unwed Catholic actress with a child could have lost everything, her career, reputation, and standing. So the lie became her reality. Gable never acknowledged the child, and Loretta denied the rumors for decades. Only years later did Loretta admit the truth, overcome with guilt. As for Gable, he maintained silence, famous to the end, and just as guarded. Ingrid Bergman, Hollywood angel turned national scandal, then comeback queen. Once celebrated for her elegance and charm in classics like Casablanca, Ingrid Bergman was America's darling, seen as the embodiment of virtue and class. But that image crumbled in 1949 when, while still married, she left for Italy to work with director Roberto Rossellini. Sparks flew, both on screen and off, and soon she was pregnant with his child. The fallout was massive. Her romance caused such an uproar that the US Senate publicly condemned her. Suddenly, Bergman was blacklisted, her films pulled, and churches urged boycotts. But instead of retreating, Ingrid embraced her new life. She married Rossellini, had 3 children, including future star Isabella Rossellini, and kept acting in Europe. Years later, she made a triumphant return to Hollywood with Anastasia, earning another Academy Award. Her journey proved one thing: even when a star falls from grace, true talent always finds a way back into the spotlight. Katharine Hepburn, the loyal partner who loved in silence for over 2 decades. Spencer Tracy was known as Hollywood's everyman, a moral compass on screen, often playing fathers, priests, and heroes. But behind that polished image was a man torn between duty and desire. He married Louise Treadwell in the 1920s, and after their son was born deaf, Spencer viewed it as divine punishment. Consumed by guilt and bound by Catholic beliefs, he refused divorce, but sought comfort elsewhere. That's where Katharine Hepburn entered the picture. A powerhouse in her own right, she became Tracy's quiet constant. For 26 years, they lived together off the radar. She never pushed for marriage, never gave interviews about their bond, and stayed in the shadows out of respect. Despite being the other woman, Hepburn supported both Spencer and his wife. While Louise built a school for deaf children, Katharine stood beside them both. Proof that love can exist even in complicated, unconventional forms. Rita Hayworth, the screen siren who was forced to erase herself to shine. Long before fame found her, she was Margarita Carmen Cancino, a gifted dancer with Spanish roots and unmatched stage presence. But in 1940s Hollywood, her heritage was seen as a hurdle, not a strength. Executives gave her a new name, lightened her hair, and painfully altered her hairline through electrolysis to make her look less Latina. The glamorous image of Rita Hayworth was carefully constructed, but behind the allure was deep pain. As a child, she endured abuse from her father, who used their dance routines as cover for something far darker. Though audiences adored her in Gilda, Rita lived with a profound sense of disconnect. "They fall in love with a character, not with me," she once reflected. In her later years, Alzheimer's began to steal her memories. But the real her, the girl who once danced and spoke Spanish, never fully disappeared, no matter how hard Hollywood tried. Bing Crosby, holiday icon with a troubled home life. To the public, Bing Crosby was the voice of Christmas, warm, gentle, and endlessly charming. But behind closed doors, his family life was far from picture perfect. His eldest son, Gary, wrote a memoir revealing a stricter, colder side of the legendary singer. According to Gary, Bing ruled the household with discipline over affection, enforcing things like weekly weigh-ins and delivering punishment more often than praise. 2 of his brothers supported the claims, and tragically, one later died by suicide. Yet there's another side to the story. Crosby's second family described a completely different man, one who was engaged, kind, and present in their lives. So who was the real Bing? A harsh father scarred by his own upbringing, or a man who changed with time and found peace later in life? The truth might lie somewhere in between, revealing the complicated, often conflicting roles that fame and fatherhood can create. Joan Crawford, silver screen royalty with a storm behind the smile. To audiences, Joan Crawford was Hollywood perfection. Flawless in appearance, fiercely professional, and the picture of maternal devotion. She adopted 4 children, posed for glowing family portraits, and maintained the image of a glamorous, loving mother. But her daughter Christina told a much different tale. In her explosive memoir, she portrayed Joan as emotionally unstable, harsh, and sometimes violent, lashing out during alcohol-fueled episodes and demanding absolute control. The now infamous wire hanger incident became symbolic of the cruelty she allegedly endured. While some of Crawford's other children disputed these claims, the damage was done. The public began to question the truth behind her polished facade. Adding to the controversy, 2 of her adopted children were linked to Georgia Tann, a woman later exposed for unethical adoption practices. Still, Crawford wasn't all darkness. She quietly supported struggling actors, paid medical bills for strangers, and came to work fully prepared, every single time. Rock Hudson, Hollywood's golden boy with a hidden truth. In the 1950s, Rock Hudson was the dream man of the silver screen. Tall, magnetic, and the perfect romantic lead. He was the kind of star who made women swoon and men aspire to be him. But off camera, he was guarding a secret that could have destroyed everything. Rock was a gay man in a time when being out could end a career instantly. To protect his image, his team staged a marriage with his secretary, Phyllis Gates, in 1955. It was a strategic move. Photos circulated, the press played along, and his carefully built persona remained untarnished. While the marriage quietly ended a few years later, the public illusion lasted much longer. Privately, Hudson navigated a double existence. Then came 1985. Hudson revealed he had AIDS, becoming the first major celebrity to do so. The revelation was groundbreaking. It forced Hollywood to face reality and helped bring awareness to a growing epidemic.